All right, as we've previously mentioned, the House of Reps reps their representatives out of these districts, right? Every state is divided into equal population districts. So again, this is a map of Pennsylvania's current districts. Um, the number of reps is frozen at 435, and it's been like that for a long time. So we don't add to the 435 in the House of Representatives. What we do, however, though, is we every 10 years, what we try to do in this country is count up the number of people that live in the country and live in each state, and that's called the census. And what we try to determine over that 10-year time period is if some states have like lost population and if some states have gained. And again, we're not adding to the 435 representatives, but what we do is we just rejuggle how many of the 435 each state gets. And that's called reapportionment. Reapportionment is the process of changing the number of representatives that every state has to sort of align with the results of the most recent census. And again, the census is done every 10 years. So reapportionment would happen every 10 years. So if you look at the chart over on the right, that shows you that as per the census that just ended in 2020, they're the adjustments that were made to who has what number of the 435. Texas gained 2 representatives. Florida got 1. North Carolina got 1. Colorado got 1. Oregon got 1. Montana got 1. Right? But because we're giving states additional representatives because their populations expanded over that 10 years, we have to take the equal amount of representations away from other states that maybe didn't see population gains or actually lost population. And you see at the bottom, California, New York, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and West Virginia all lost representatives, right? Including Pennsylvania. We used to have 18 representatives, now we're down to 17. So that's reapportionment. If a state does have its number of districts adjusted, either up or down, you're going to have to go back and draw new districts, right? Like I just showed you that map that had 17 districts on it from Pennsylvania. It used to be 18, but when we were reduced by one district, a map with 18 districts isn't going to work anymore. So you have to redraw the districts. It's important to note who does this. It's not done by the federal government, it's done by state legislatures. So, like in the case of Pennsylvania, it's the state legislature that meets out in Harrisburg that redraws these districts to go along with the population changes identified by the reapportionment process, right? So, redistricting is redrawing the districts to go along with the new data that was accumulated during the reapportionment process. It gives a huge advantage to whatever political party controls the state legislatures at the time of the redistricting. Because if you draw the districts just to benefit your political party, that's referred to as gerrymandering. It's nicknamed after an old school Massachusetts governor who in 1812 signed a bill into place that redistricted in Massachusetts. And some of the shapes of the new districts were like pretty funky. So ultimately, the nickname became gerrymandering. This is when you draw districts to strictly benefit the party that is drawing the districts. So this is one of the districts out in Chicago. It's one of the most gerrymandered districts in the country. Basically, it's a kind of crazy shape, but the rules of gerrymandering are that the shape doesn't matter as long as the shape is continuous. It's not like broken. There's a stop and a start, and that includes roughly the same number of people. But they're drawn in crazy shapes intentionally to capture certain parts of the population and to exclude certain parts of the population. So if you can draw a district that's going to include lots of your own party members, that'll give your reps an advantage in getting elected out of there. So this is an example of a district. Ohio's fourth. It kind of looks like a duck. That's a great example of a gerrymandered district. This is Pennsylvania's old school 7th district from a while back. This used to be nicknamed Goofy. This shape on the right was supposed to resemble Goofy kicking Donald Duck here. It's not why they drew the district like that, but again, this was drawn by the state legislature to intentionally give a political advantage to a certain party and sort of hurt the opposite political party. So this is what gerrymandering is. And again, all of these things are related. Reapportionment happens first, then you have to redistrict. And if the redistricting is done just to benefit a party, that's gerrymandering.